Hello learners, you are warmly welcome once again to Joy Learning Basic Classroom. I am Emmanuel Eduquesi, your facilitator for mathematics lessons. Today, we will be talking about numbers and numerals. We'll be continuing from where we ended in our previous lesson. We are going to talk about numbers and numerals for Basic 4. But before we move on to our lesson for today, I want us to take this as a starter. This particular set of numbers which have been listed on your screen. We are going to look for the missing numbers as our starter. So for the first one, we have 7, 10, and then we have a missing number. Then we move on to 16, a missing number, another missing number, then we get to 25. So here we are looking for the numbers that will make these mathematical sentences true. That is going to be our work or our task for the beginning of this lesson. So we have the first one to be 7, 10. Which number do we put there so that it will make the statement true to the next number, which is 16? Then we find the next number, then the next to make the statement true to 25 and to the last one. So learners, which numbers do we put in these missing places to make the statement true? If we have 7, we have 10. Which number do we put there to make the statement true? Now, the clue to be able to get this answer is that which number do we add on? It is addition of a particular number. Therefore, what number is it? Then, if you find that number, then you add it on, and I'm sure you will get it right. So we have 7 and 10. So what is the difference between 10 and 7? That answer or that number, when you add to 10, I'm sure you'll be able to get the next of the missing numbers. Good. So that number is 3. Because when you add 3 to 7, you are getting 10. When you add 10 or when you add 3 to 10, you are getting 13. Very good. So you see that we have our 13 there. Now let's move on. When you add 3 again to the 13, we are getting 16. When you add 3 to the 16, we are getting 19, then 22, then 25, and our last digit will be 28. So that will be the answer for the first one. So let us use the same clue to find the answer for the second one. We have 0, we have 5, then we have a missing number over there, then we have 15 through up to 35. So what we put in between the 5 and the 15 and those over there to also get to arrive at 35? Which numbers do we put there so that it will make our mathematical sentence true? I hope you are trying to find the answer. Good. So over here, we have the first missing number to be 10, the next number to be 20, 25, 30, and our last number is 35. So over here, you can also identify or see that is a skip counting of 5. Skip counting of 5. So we have 0, we have 5, we have 10, we have 15, we have 20, we have 25, 30, and 35. Very good. Now let's look at the last one, the last task over there. Good. So we have 10, then we have a missing number, then we have 30 through up to 70. Good. So here, what are the missing numbers over here? And then clearly, when you look at the text over there, you identify or you see that it is a skip counting of 10. A skip counting of 10. So between 10 and 30, which number do you think we can put over there to make the statement true? I believe you are saying 20. Very good. So it is 20. So between 10 and the 30, we have 20 over there. So we have 20, and then we move on to 30, then 40, then 50, 60, and we have our last number as 70. So very good, learners. So this is our starter. Now let us move on to what we are supposed to do for today. As I said earlier, we are talking about numbers and numerals. Continue from where we ended last time, and we are still counting and representing whole numbers. So previously, we were talking about how to demonstrate an understanding of quantities using the place value. Then previously, we were talking about using the multi-base block. We've learned how to use even the graph book to represent the multi-base block, and so on. Today, we are going to major or concentrate on how we are also going to use what we call the number wheel game. The number wheel game to represent numbers, and we are still representing them up to hundreds of thousands. Hundreds of thousands. Very good. So, in the beginning, we started counting. And we said that we count first in ones. So we have our ones there. Then we said we also count from ones, we count in tens. So if we have ones, we count in tens as well. Then we count in hundreds. So we have ones, we have tens, we have hundreds. Then we move on to thousands. So from thousands, what do you think will be the next counting stage? So we are saying that we begin from ones, then tens, then hundreds, thousands, and we said previously that from thousands we are moving to tens of thousand. Tens of thousand. Then from tens of thousand we end at hundreds of thousand. Hundreds of thousand. Good. That is how, this is where we count up to at our level. We start from ones through up to hundreds of thousand. Then we learned that we can use what we call the multi-base block. The multi-base block to represent these counting stages. And previously, we sometimes represented the units or the cube to tens. Sometimes we represented to hundreds. Then the long or the rod, we represented with thousands or even tens of thousands, the flat and the block as well. So we've learned very well using this multi-base block to represent numbers. Then we said that we can also use what we call the graph sheet. With the absence of the multi-base block, we can draw the multi-base block on our graph sheet. And that is what we've also learned using the graph sheet to also represent it. And then previously, or in our previous lesson, we also use the self-made currency note to also represent numbers. So we learned that we use the red one or the red colored sheet to represent one cedi. Let's imagine you are being given a particular commodity to buy. How many of these currency notes are you going to use to purchase that particular commodity? Then we also represented the green with the 10 cedis or the tens, and then the blue as well, 200s. So we learned how many of these notes could be used to purchase or to represent a particular number previously. That is what we did in our previous lessons. Today, we are going to concentrate, as I said earlier, using what we call the place value number wheel game. The number wheel game to represent numbers. That is what we are going to do for today's lesson. Good. Now, this is what we call the number wheel game. The number wheel game. So, it is made out of circles. It's made out of circles. So, we have the first circle in there representing ones. So, we have it there representing ones. Then we also have our next one representing tens. Then we have the next one representing hundreds. Then we have thousands, tens of thousands, and hundreds of thousands also over there. Then when you look at your right hand side, we also have our marbles. What we are going to do is that we are going to throw these marbles on the number wheel game. We are going to throw them onto the number wheel game. And then we count as many as those that will fall within a particular stage of counting. That is what you are going to do. So learners, I want you to take your books, your pencil and your jotters, and let us learn how to make this particular number wheel game or number wheel chart. Let us try to make it. So first you draw your small circle there. We are just making a circle there. Then in our circle we put O there to represent ones. Then we have our next one drawn around it nicely. Then we also represent it with tens. We write T over there to represent it with tens. Then we move on to the next one, and then we write over there hundreds to also represent, we write H over there to represent hundreds. So we do this on and on to the hundreds of thousand, to the hundreds of thousand. So we will have it as this. We will have it as this. So we have the circle in there as ones. We have the next one as tens. We have hundreds through up to hundreds of thousand. So that is what we are going to do. And then you also get your small marbles over there, small ones. That is what we are going to throw them onto our number wheel chart or number wheel game. That is what we are going to do. Now, one thing that you must also take note is that when we throw the marbles on our wheel chart or wheel game, if or any particular marble that falls on any of the line, if it falls on any of the circles on the lines, we count them out, or we don't put them together. We don't count them as part of what we are going to do. That is one thing that you must remember. If a marble falls on a line like this, we don't count it as part of, because you wouldn't know whether it falls in tens or in hundreds. So we count them out, or we do not count them at all. So those that will fall within this, the counting stages, those are the ones that we count as such. Good. So let us move on. Then apart from that, we also have our place value chart. So with this one, we are going to use it together with the whole game. Now, if we throw our marbles, the game that we're going to play, when we throw our marbles, if let's say 4 falls within ones, then we write our 4 over there. If 2 falls within tens, then we do the same thing over there. Then we count up to the last stage of counting. That is going to be our game. So let us begin our activity. So we have our wheel chart over there, and then we also have our place value chart over there. So we have our marbles in our hand, learners. Let us throw them and see how many will fall in ones or tens or in hundreds of thousands. So let us throw our marbles and see. Good. We have thrown our marbles nicely. And we have our marbles being placed in the ones through up to hundreds. Let us count them and write them in our place value chart over there. So let's begin with the ones. Let us all count together. So we have 1, we have 2, and we have 3. So when you threw our marbles, 3 of the marbles fell within the ones. So we write our 3 there. Very good. Then let's move on to tens. So for the tens, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So we have 5 there. So you put 5 also there. Good. Let us move on. We get to the hundreds. We have 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So we put also 4 under hundreds. Then the thousands, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7. We also put 7 there. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 also under tens of thousand. We put it there. And then when you look at the hundreds of thousand, we have 3 there. So good. So what is the value of each of these numerals being written under it? So for the value, we are saying that for the hundreds of thousand, we have 3, which represents 300,000. So we have 300,000 over there. Then when you come to the tens of thousand, we have 6 of the marbles there. So that one will also represent 60,000. Then 7 at 1,000, so we have 7,000. Then also we have 4 under the 100, so we have 400. 5 under tens having 50. And then also 3 under ones having 3. Therefore, when we put these values of numbers or these values of the marbles that we've thrown into our whole chart, when we put them together, then we are having 367,453. 367,453. After throwing our marbles into our whole chart, that is the number that we had. We said 3 are under hundreds of thousands, which is 300,000. 6 under tens of thousands, which is 60,000. Then we have 7 under thousand, which is 7,000. We have 400 because they are 4. We have 50 because they are 5 in tens, and then we have 3 in ones, making 3. So when you put all of them together, we are having 367,453. Very good. Let us move on. Let us also have another throwing of marbles into this particular number whole chart and see. Good. So let us do our throwing. Beautiful. Good. We throw our marbles. We've thrown our marbles into the place value or the number whole game. And let us count the number of marbles that we have in this stage of counting. Good. Let us all do the counting together. Let us do the counting together. So for the ones, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So we have 5 under ones. So we write our 5 nicely in there. Then let's move on to the thousands, to the tens, sorry. So let us count. So we have 1, we have 2, we have 3, we have 4, we have 5, 6, and 7. So we have 7 under tens. Then let's come to hundreds. We have 1, 2, and 3. So we have 3 there. Then the thousands, we have 4 there. Then let's go to the tens of thousand. So we have 1, we have 2, we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8. So we have 8 under the tens of thousand. And then when we come to the hundreds of thousand, we also have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. Good. So we have 6 also, or 6 marbles also under hundreds of thousand. So learners, let me ask you, if we have 6 of our marbles under hundreds of thousand, what will be the value of that? What will be the value of that? Yes, good. Then what about the 8? We have 8 of the marbles under the tens of thousand. So what will be the value of that 8 marbles over there? I believe you are saying 80,000. Good. Then what about the 4 under the thousands? 4 under thousands. If 1 represents 1,000, 4 of them is going to be what? 4 of them is going to be 4,000. Good. And the 3 under hundreds is also going to be 300. And then the 7 also under tens is going to be what? It's also going to be 70. And then we also have 5 under ones, which is 5. So the value for each is going to be 600,000, and then 80,000, and then 4,000, and then 300, and then we have 70, and then 5. So when you put these values together, what is going to be our answer? Yes, what is going to be our answer? We have 600,000, we have 80,000, we have 4,000, we have 300, 70, and 5. If you put these values together, what are we going to have? What are we going to have? 600,000, 80,000, 4,000, 300, 70, and 5. after throwing our marbles into this number wheel chart, what is going to be our answer? If we put all these numbers together, very good. So we are going to have our answer to be 684,375. 384,370. 600. Good. So we have 600. So 684,375. Very good. So that is going to be our answer over there. Good. So learners, for this one, I have given you the number or the numeral. I have given you the numeral. I want you to represent or find in how many of these marbles, how many of the marbles are we going to have in each of the stage of counting. So we said we have our ones, we have our tens, through up to hundreds of thousands. So how many of these marbles are we going to have in each of the stages of counting? How many are we going to have over there? Good. So we have it. So throw it and let us see, or represent them in there. So good. I hope you are doing it. So for here, we are seeing that when we come to the ones, we are going to have 2 of our marbles in. We are going to have 2 of the marbles in. Good. What about the tens? How many marbles are we going to have in the tens? Because we have the number 9, we are going to have 9 there. So let us put them together, or put them there. So we have 1, we have 2, we have 3, we have 4, we have 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we have 9 there. Very good. So we have 9 of our marbles in the tens. Then for the hundreds, how many are we going to have there? When you look at the numeral, or when you look at the number over there, it is 5. So we are going to put 5 also in hundreds, whereby each of the marble that we put over there represents 100. So we have first 100. We have the second one, which represents 200. Then we have 300. Then we have 400. And then we have our 500 also over there. Good. Then let's go to the thousands. How many are we going to put in the thousands? Because the number over there is 4, or the value is 4,000, we are going to put 4 of the marbles there. So each represents 1,000. So we have one to be 1,000. We have the next one to be 2,000. We have 3,000. And then we have our last one as 4,000. Good. Then the next one is under tens of thousand. And we have 6 there. So we are going to put 6 of our marbles there. So we have the first one to be 10,000. The next one becomes 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, and then we have our 60,000. So we have 6 of the marbles in tens of thousand. And the last one is hundreds of thousand. Hundreds of thousand. So in the hundreds of thousand, how many are we going to put there? Because the value over there is 1, which represents 100,000. We are going to put only 1 over there. So we have our 1 under hundreds of thousand. So when you put them together, we have 100,000, we have 60,000, we have 4,000, we have 500, we have our 90, and then we have our 2, making 164,592. 164,592. Very good. Good. I hope you did it nicely. Let us move on. Let us move on. So at homes, you can even take your erasers quickly and then clean the marbles from your wheel chart so that we can use the same wheel chart or wheel game to also practice the next one. So let us clean them and then try to make them nicely. So good. So that is what I did earlier. Very good. So our next work or our next task is 380,164. 380,164. We are going to use the wheel game or wheel chart to also demonstrate our understanding with this particular numeral which is being given. 380,164. If we are throwing our marbles onto this particular wheel chart, how many are they going to fall? How many are going to fall in each of these counting stage? So we are saying that we have 380,164. So how many of the marbles are we going to represent in the ones or the tens or the hundreds through up to the hundreds of thousand? So let us all do it together. Let us do it together, learners. Let us do it together. Good. So we begin from the ones. We begin from the ones. Now we have our 4. Our 4 is being represented or being written under ones. Therefore, we are going to put 4 of the marbles in ones. And for here, we are saying that each marble that we represent in ones represent 1. So we are putting 4 there. So first, we have our first one, which represents 1. The next one will be 2. Then the next one will be 3. And our last one is going to be 4. Good. So we have 4 of the marbles under ones. Beautiful. Now let's move on to the next stage of counting. And the next number that we can see over there is 6. Is 6. And 6, so therefore we are going to put 6 of our marbles under tens or in tens. So we are saying that each marble that we put over there represents 10. So we put our first one over there. We have 10. So the next one is going to be what? If 1 is 10, the next one is going to be 20. Good. So we have 20 there. We have 30 as the third one. Then we have 40. And then we have 50. And the last one as 60. Beautiful. So we have 10. We have 20. We have 30. We have 40. We have 50. And our last one is 60. Beautiful. Good. So that is for the tens. Let us move on to the next one, which is hundreds. And over there, we have only 1 there. So we put 1 also under hundreds, which represents 100. 100. Good. Let us move on to the thousands. So for the thousands, we can see that it is 0 here. So for the 0, we will not put any marble, or we will not put any marble under the thousands. We will not put any marbles under 1,000 because the number over there is 0. Good. So let us move on to the tens of 1,000. Tens of 1,000. So for the tens of 1,000, we have 8 over there. So we are going to put 8 of the marbles over there. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8. So each represents 10,000. So the 8 is going to be 80,000. Then when we come to the hundreds of 1,000, we have 3 also there. So we have 300,000. So when you put these marbles together to each of the stage, we are having 380,164. Good. Beautiful. Then what do you think will be the number or the numeral to represent this? So I want you to count them and then know. Good. So here we have 2 in the ones. We have 4 in the tens. We have 2 in hundreds. 2 in thousands. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 in tens of thousand. And then we also have 8 in the hundreds of thousand. Therefore, when you put them together, we will have our number to be that. So we are going to have our number as 872,000. Then we bring our comma nicely. We have 242. That's the answer for this number flow chart. Learners, I believe you have gotten and you've found this interesting in playing this game. It is all about throwing marbles in our wheel chart, and we are using this to represent numbers. Beautiful. Very good. So I hope you enjoyed this activity very well. So for the summary, we are saying that we are representing numbers and numerals, and today we learned about how we can use the number whole chart, which is also of a place value, to represent numbers that we have done. So, very well, learners. So for your assessment task, you are performing this activity which is being displayed on your screen. You have 4 questions to represent them on the place value wheel game. Learners, after doing this particular work, I want you to mail these answers to our joylearningtv@myjoylearning.com. That is our email address that you could use to send your work or your solution. You can as well as follow us or subscribe to our YouTube channel at Joy Learning TV. I am Emmanuel Edukwesi, your facilitator for today's maths lesson. Bye-bye.